Hello aspirants, welcome to Current Affairs for Beginners session by La Excellence. This session will help beginners in reading the Hindu newspaper. Let me give you answers for yesterday's questions. The first question is about SAARC. This is the only grouping where both India and Pakistan are member countries. This statement is wrong because we have another organization called Shanghai Cooperation Organization where both India and Pakistan are member countries for this organization also. In this statement, there is a mention of the word only. If the statement is like this is the grouping where both India and Pakistan are member countries, this will be correct. But the uses of this word only, this statement will become wrong. And the second statement is SAARC stands for South Asian Agreement for Regional Cooperation. SAARC stands for South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. So this statement is also wrong, and the question here asked is select the correct answer. Since both the statements are wrong, the answer would be D, neither one nor two. The second question is Kanchenjunga Biosphere Reserve is a mixed heritage site. We have an international organization called UNESCO, United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. This organization will give World Heritage Sites list, and under this we have Natural Heritage Sites, Cultural Heritage Sites and Mixed Heritage Sites. And Kanchenjunga Biosphere Reserve is a mixed heritage site listed under this category. So this statement is correct. And the second one is it is the highest biosphere in the country. This statement is also correct. So the answer is C, both 1 and 2. Topics covered under today's core are Disaster Management Act 2005. What are the provisions under this act? The second one is prison reforms in India. And the third one is Unique Identification Authority of India, UIDAI. And the fourth one is what is a submarine and what are the types of such submarines. And the fifth one is depreciation and devaluation of currency. And the sixth one is foreign direct investment. What is the definition of this foreign direct investment? And the seventh one is NASA recently released a new Parker space probe. And let us see what is this Parker space probe. The first article is Center comes to Kerala aids. Here we have to see one act related to this, Disaster Management Act 2005. This was enacted as a central act to deal with the management of disasters, like to deal with floods, earthquakes or any other disasters. The act was constituted, and this provided for a three-tier disaster management structure in the country at national level, state level, district level. National level we have National Disaster Management Authority, and National Executive Committee will execute the policies done by this management authority, and at state level we have State Disaster Management Authority, and district level we have District Disaster Management Authority, and at state level also we have State Executive Committee which will implement the policies made by the State Disaster Management Authority. But at district level this only made policies and this will only implement the policies. And this act, as I said, National Disaster Management Authority, State Disaster Management Authority, National Executive Council and National Disaster Response Fund and National Institute of Disaster Management and disaster related funds were established. Children living in jails worries. In this article they were saying mainly about the children in jails. That is, when women were arrested when she was pregnant and when she delivered, this child will be also in that prison, and the condition of children they were saying in this article. Here we should concentrate on prison reforms. Supreme Court in this article is suggesting for a committee to see about these prison reforms. And why we need prison reforms? Firstly, if a person, that is who earns, if he was under trial, either in under trial or he was convicted for a crime, then the livelihood of that family will goes down. What government can do to rectify this problem for that family. And the second thing is the health of the prisoners. And the third thing is under trial people are more in jails than the convicted people. And the fourth thing is overcrowding of prisons. And the fifth thing is in prison, most population, that is mostly youth, or when they went to prison, there is no education facilities to these people and they remain illiterate, and when they came out, they will do another crimes instead of they were realizing that they have done a crime and now they have to change. And the next thing is public defense for the people under trials or convicted, for public defense for these people. And the next thing is condition of jails. These all things have to be reformed, and for that Supreme Court is asking to constitute a committee to suggest the prison reform. Also we have two committees, that is Mullah committee. This committee suggested for setting up of National Prison Commission as a body to bring out modernization of prisons in the India. This also suggested to constitute All India Service called the Indian Prisons and Correctional Service, recruitment of prison officials. And we also have Krishna Iyer committee, and this suggested for women prisoners, and this recommended induction of more women in the police force in the view of their special role in tackling women and child offenders. Use Aadhaar freely without fear. UIDAI. Here we should know what is this authority, Unique Identification Authority of India, UIDAI. This is a statutory authority. That is, this authority was formed through an act. Which act? Under Aadhaar Act 2016. Under this act, this authority is responsible for Aadhaar enrollment and authentication, including the operation and management at all stages of this Aadhaar life cycle, and developing a policy and procedure and system for issuing Aadhaar numbers to the individuals, and perform authentication, and also required to ensure the security of this Aadhaar information or Aadhaar numbers and the information of that private individual. This body is responsible. Submarine training lacks, says Controller and Auditor General. This article is about the fire accidents or sinking of submarines because there is no trained persons to control this damages. Controller and Auditor General is reporting the same to the Parliament. But here from Science and Technology, GS paper 3 point of view, you should know what is this submarine and what are the types of submarines. Submarines are nothing but a watercraft that is capable of independent operations underwater. That is, they do operations underwater. They can infiltrate the enemy sea and destroy the enemy ships. That is, underwater, they will capture or they will identify the enemy ships and they will destroy even these ships in the water itself. Then we call this watercrafts as submarines. And what are the types of submarines? We have two types. The first one is attack submarine and the second one is ballistic missile submarine. This attack submarines directly attacks the other submarines. These are specially designed for the purpose of attacking or sinking other submarines. The second one is ballistic missile submarines. In these submarines, we will install or we will incorporate some ballistic missiles, and through these missiles, we will attack other submarines. And this attack submarines, we have again two. That is, submarines that will run with diesels or submarines that is run with nuclear power. And in this ballistic also, we have diesel powered ballistic submarines and nuclear powered ballistic submarines. Wars of the currency kind. Here we have to discuss what is this trade wars, what is this currency wars, and what is the word devaluation, and what is this word depreciation, and how devaluation is different from the word depreciation. What is a trade war? This is a situation in which countries try to damage each other's trade. That is, country A will try to damage country B's trade and country B try to damage A's trade. How? By imposing tariffs on imports. That is, if country A is exporting some goods to country B, this country will increase the rate of this exports by imposing some tariffs, like we call taxes on this. Then what happens? The cost of these goods will increase. Very less goods will sail out in this country. And similarly, this country will also impose tariffs on the this country's products. Like this, they were increasing the tariffs on imports. This situation we call as trade wars. This is the economic situation in which both the countries try to damage each other's trade. And before saying what is this currency war, let us see what is this depreciation and devaluation. Depreciation means fall in the value of currency in a floating exchange rate system. That is, when we compare with dollars, for example, now the rate is $1 is equal to approximately 68 rupees today. Tomorrow, if suppose $1 is equal to 70 rupees it became. Now, value of the currency is decreased. We call this as depreciation. This decrease in the value of currency is through economic factors or any interest rate differentiations or any political instability or any risk aversion among the investors. Is if anytime interest rates increased, or if there is any political instability in the country, or if there is economic crisis in the country, or if investors are not willing to invest in this country, in these cases the value of currency will fall and we call that as depreciation. The next one is devaluation. This is deliberate downward adjustment of the value of country's currency relative to another country's currency or group of countries' currencies or any standard currency. Why government want to deliberately decrease the value of currency? Let us see with an example. Now let us say $1 is equal to 70 rupees and we get 7 items for this $1 in our country, that is in India we get for 70 rupees we get 7 items. And after depreciation, that is if government deliberately decrease, we call that as devaluation. After devaluation, now $1 is equal to rupees 80. Then we get 8 items. So before, a country with $1 can purchase 7 items and now it can purchase 8 items. Then exports from this country will increase. If exports increase, for this country we get more inflows, that is more money to this country. So the government sometimes deliberately decrease the currency value to boost their country's economy. The next one is currency war. To get competitive advantage of the other country, that is if this country devaluates its currency, then exports for this country will increase. So thinking this country will decrease its currency. Then we call this as currency war between two countries. Are foreign direct investments at an ebb? Here we have to discuss the two terms. The first one is this foreign direct investments. What is the definition of this foreign direct investments? And we also have to see what is this GDP. And this article is saying that the trend of this foreign direct investment in the country, how it was in 2003, from 2003 to 2017, how it was increased and how it was decreased, the trend this graph is showing. And this also showing what is the percentage of foreign direct investment in India as a percentage of global pool. That is, when compared to the global level, we have 0. In the year 2003, we have 0.8% 8% of FDI inflows into the country when compared to the global level. Like that, it is showing the trend. And the topic discussed here also about the FDI and whether this FDI inflows is depending upon the domestic factors or the international factors, this article is saying about. To understand this article, before we should know what is this FDI, and here there is a mention of 8% GDP growth is that matters. So we have to know what is this GDP also. And this topic comes under GS3 paper, Indian economy. FDI means foreign direct investment. This is an investment made by a firm or an individual of one country into business interest located in another country. That is, if a person of country A has invested into the business of country B, then we call this investment as foreign direct investment. This FDI takes place normally when an investor establishes foreign business opportunities or acquires any foreign business assets, including the ownership or controlling of foreign company. He have to own a company or control a company to call this investment as FDI. Otherwise, we have another investment, that is foreign portfolio investment. In this investment, an investor of country A will buy some shares of country B. If there is a business company in this country B and this issues some shares, he will buy some shares. Then we call this type of investment as foreign portfolio investment. If an investor directly controls or owns any business, then we call as foreign direct investment. And if a person buys shares, we call it as foreign portfolio investment. And the second term to be discussed here is GDP, gross domestic product. This is the monetary measure of the market value of all the final goods and services that is produced in a year. That is, for example, in the country, that is in India, all the final goods and services that is produced in 1 year time period. For that, if we account with monetary value, that is, if we calculate the cost value of this goods and services, that to final goods and services, then we call this as gross domestic product, GDP. NASA launches probe to touch sun. Here in this article they were saying is NASA launched a spacecraft, and this spacecraft is used to study the solar wind, geomagnetic storms and sun's outer atmosphere, that is corona. This corona is 300 times hotter than sun's atmosphere. So to study the solar wind, what it is, and to study the geomagnetic storms and to study the sun's outer surface, corona. Let us see what is this solar winds. These are a stream of charged particles released from the outer atmosphere of the sun. Just now we said outer surface of the sun is called as corona. That is, solar winds are the stream of charged particles released from the outer atmosphere of the sun, corona, and this plasma of this streamed charged particles will contain electrons, protons and alpha particles, and they move with the kinetic energy, that is from 0.5 to 10 kilo electronic volts. That is, electrons, protons and alpha particles in a stream, they move, and this we call as solar wind. And for this Earth's magnetosphere, there will be some disturbance when this solar winds travels. Then we call this disturbance as geomagnetic storms. That is, geomagnetic storm is a temporary disturbance of Earth's magnetosphere caused by either solar wind shock wave or a cloud of magnetic field that interacts with the Earth's magnetic field. Try to answer today's questions. The first question is, consider the following statements. Persons arrested under preventive detention cannot cast their vote. And prohibition on voting by convicts is governed by Prisons Act 1894. And the second question is NDRF, National Disaster Response Force, comes under the purview of Defense Ministry. And the second option is National Executive Committee plans and approves guidelines for disaster management for ensuring timely and effective response to disaster. Thank you.